Hey, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahara Kakadash, Call Halal, Yahweh Shim Yahushai, Bahashim Kakadash, pretty much saying all praises. Yahweh Shim Yahushai, Bahashim Kakadash, Brakathum. Double honor to our apostles who are elders who were well. Also, blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching, enduring truth, sincerity. Blessed salutations to the innumerable multitude, which are the women and children that follow the truth, and the wheat that are amongst tares. This lesson is going to be pretty much titled "Let Go Thee from Death." You know, because I would like to start off by saying my sincere salakis to the situation of the understanding of being immortal. Okay, because the Apostle Gabar made a profound statement that, when mentioning that mindset, is that when he was dressing the Sakari, he said pretty much that you know, they're so bogged down with death. And then once, I listened to a lot of the brothers' breakdowns and going through the scriptures. And once you really look at it and so the smoke settles, death within these bodies, this flesh, has pretty much dictated our lives, and it could block a lot of things. It could make you hesitate. It can make you not as reliant on Yahweh Shim Yahushai, because the idea of death, dying, losing the opportunity, the fact that you won't live forever, so you feel like, as in Wisdom of Solomon said, pretty much don't let the flowers pass you by. Pretty much you want to enjoy everything in life like you don't have another shot at it. As the Eminem's verse say, you lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better not let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. You know what I'm saying? Because opportunity comes once in a lifetime. That's a wicked thought. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to do things as though death don't have a hold on you. When the disciples, spoke and teach and they threatened their lives. They threatened the guards and the Romans threatened the disciples' lives. The Pharisees also, but they threatened their lives and released them from prison. Said don't ever speak in their name. But what they did, they followed in the spirit, which they weren't attached to death. But does that say that it never happened? No, because you got another example where Peter denied Yahushua thrice, right? Denied him thrice, because what made him do that? The fear of death. So death has a lot to do with our decision making. If you couldn't die, and you to this day, if you could live forever, a lot of things in your decision making would change. Which shows how much power death has on us. Okay, so getting back to the discrepancies in which I had taught at a point, which is why I'm saying my salak is because I self-evaluate, and it comes from just assuming and not really diligently searching out a thing. It comes from you just from my experience, just searching on a shallow note, getting the superficial information instead of doing like the Church of Berea and doing my own digging, because my salvation is in my own hands, so I can't rely on notes from another person's notes. Their notes are references to where I should go and study on my own and come to that conclusion, because if I would have studied properly and dug properly, that wouldn't have came about. And if I would have came to a conclusion, which is what happened, pass it by the elders. Okay, so we're gonna get into the precepts. It says in Sirach 32:18, it says, a man of counsel will be considerate. Okay, but a strange and proud man is not daunted with fear. You pretty much do things without, you don't care what the repercussions are. You'll just do it. You're just going off an impulse. All right, where the scriptures say, man, a man of counsel will be considerate. Considerate what? Of what you're doing. But the person you know, that's getting counseled and admonished, or however you want to say, given wisdom that helps you considering the outcome. You're not just doing things off of impulse, being a natural man, right? It says, even when of himself, you see, he have done without counsel, right? Do nothing without advice, and when thou hast done, repent not, because you made your decision. So when you come to a decision, make sure you make the right one. You know, in order to make sure you make the right one, when you don't know, counsel, that's what you're going to get a counselor for, so you don't do something, oh, I ain't know, or what, why you didn't ask me, or why you didn't seek for advice. We're a body, okay? So, you know what I'm saying, from my experiences, retracing my steps, taking counsel, all right? Doesn't mean I just run around and don't take counsel. No, that was in that situation where the wrong happened. I evaluated and seen, okay, that was one of the stems, okay? So, what is the solution? You know, study the validity, okay? You know what I'm saying? So anything, it's not that you're casting doubt. You're just making sure that you understand what's being stated, taught, or whatever, all right? As apostles even teach themselves, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Whatever we teach, you go and search it out yourself, man. Don't just go take our word for it, you know? And that's true. Because, again, their breakdowns is not going to get us out of here. Our understanding and belief and faith is going to get us out of here, or get us individually out of here. Okay? It says, you know, then also ensure the consistency within the context of the scriptures. So when we're talking about death, you know, when we're talking about death, we're talking about, you know, when Adam, going back to, let's see here. Matter of fact, we're going to get it. Because we're talking about the tree of life, the tree of pretty much immortality. That's where we're headed to. Okay? So as the scriptures say, death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. Yahweh Shai got the keys to death. Okay? Because what reward would he say? He has better promises. You know what I'm saying? What can be better than being immortal? You know, all the context. I have said, ye are gods. Right? All these contexts. So what will make a person to think that, oh, you reign with Christ 1,000 years, and that means you're going to be in the New Jerusalem because of what? Because of these bodies. You're only going as far as what you see and perceive. You know, like Thomas, and digging into Yahweh Shai's rib, it says, blessed are those who have believed and not seen. You know, Yahweh Shai has a greater promise for us. He has, you know, once we inherit the kingdom, we're going to be inheriting these bodies, these incorruptible bodies. Okay? And guess what? Hey, when 2/3 inherit the kingdom, they're going to have incorruptible bodies in pursuing to you know, them coming through the loins of the elect. Okay? But check this out. Everybody that's within Israel will get the bodies, but everybody's going to earn them. The elect is earning on this side, and 2/3 is going to earn it via through the second death. You know, but at the end of the day, the promise is going to be established within Israel. Okay? So we're going to go into Genesis chapter 2. We're going to go into Genesis chapter 2, verse 9. It says, and out of the ground made the Lord Yahweh to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of life of good and evil. Okay, so we're learning, okay, good and evil. Okay, let's see here. So when Adam fell away, okay, that the whole point was, as you go into 2nd Ezra, the Lord said he left pretty much a wicked heart, or I had to get, I don't want to butcher it, but he left pretty much a chink in Adam's armor so he can go off, ultimately so we can learn the knowledge of good and evil, so we can ultimately fulfill what was destined for us, which is to rule the world. You know, who else would be better to tell somebody about being in these bodies by those who've been in these bodies at the lowest state? Okay? We've been there. So when we're ruling the world, they can't tell us you don't understand. You can't die. You can't do this. You don't go through what we're going. No, we've been there. So the judgment is going to be understanding. Is going to be with compassion. Why? Hey, Yahweh Shai had to come in our bodies and experience what we experienced. And it's the same thing that we're going through to, once we inherit our incorruptible bodies, we'll be able to govern the world as Yahweh Shai is governing us. And he had to do what? Experience what we experienced. Okay? So there's no excuse. We can't sit there and say, well, you ain't pretty much like you're just a pencil pusher. You know? But let's get back to the scriptures. You know, because Yahweh Shai went through it, we're going through it to ultimately do what? To govern the world, okay? Because we're going to have the knowledge of good and evil. Before we only knew good. So how you? Because after Eve took of the fruit, what she learned? Evil. So what did we know before? All we knew was good, man. You know, it's almost like it makes you oblivious to judgment. That's like Esau trying to judge our judgments, but they never been through the worst cases that we've been through. So they're gonna lack empathy with the vile acts that person is capable of. Because you don't understand. It's like being rich. Why don't you just buy a house? You don't got a house. You know, you don't understand that feeling, that anxiety, all that. You know, but when you learn that evil, you learn the worst part of it, then you know it gives you more compassion, more balance, more understanding on how to judge. Okay? But if you're bogged down by death, you can't even see that far. You know? We're going to go to Genesis chapter 3. We'll start at 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh had made. Okay? Key point, the Lord made him. All right? And he said unto the woman, yea, have Yahweh said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Okay? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh said, ye shall not eat thereof, eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Okay? And I always thought it was okay, our bodies decaying, but we really died. We really died. Okay? Death came. Along with death, it was sin is unto death, but we physically died. We died also spiritually, but our bodies weren't the same. Okay? The Lord pretty much changed our bodies from the ones that were meant to last forever into bodies that were decaying. And he said it. Again, remember, what could have solved the problem? Sticking to the consistency of the context within the scriptures. He says it. Okay? But it says, verse 4 says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for Yahweh for Yahweh doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So ultimately, it was meant for us to go through, but as that process, it don't justify who sinned. And no, this is how the movie was meant to play out, but it don't mean that the good guy is really the bad guy is really a good guy. He's just acting. No, man, this is your role. And we ain't actors. We're created to live this role. Okay? So with that being said, what the serpent did was off. The woman listening to the serpent is off. Adam listening to the woman is off. You know what I'm saying? And it caused death. Death came into the world. Okay? It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So they pretty much, they took off the cloak of the Most High via through doctrine. So let's go into 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 51. It says, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed." Okay? "In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." Okay? "For this incorruption must put on incorruption," which is these new bodies that we shall inherit, "and this mortal shall put on" what? Immortality. So we're mortal, mortgage, it all goes back to death. "And we shall put on immortality," which means no death, no dying. Okay? So when this incorruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass that saying that is written, "Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?" And we all know Yahweh Shai, when he died and rose again, that he took those keys, man. That he has he has the keys to death. He won. Okay? And then we're gonna win through him. Because once he got the victory, he pretty much gave us the light to get out too. So I wanted to read this precept this brother has shared with me, and is spot on, man. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 verse 13 says, "For God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living." Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 verse 14, it says, "For he created all things that they might have their being in the generations of the world were healthful, and there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth. For righteousness is immortal." Okay? Wisdom, and it says, "But the ungodly," it's like I keep saying the verse, but ungodly men with their works and words called it to them. For when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught, and made a covenant with it, because they were worthy to take part with it." So what does that mean? That death wasn't meant for us, but eventually thought it was a good idea to make a covenant with it. Because like it says, your eyes will open, you gain wisdom, you start seeing and doing things, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it don't produce nothing. Anything that is mainly connected to the flesh, and these bodies in particular, is nothing that produces any good. Greed, anger, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, in that emotional way. Not to have zeal, to be gullible instead of being spiritual or prudent. You know what I'm saying? It's like the total contrary of good, man. It's the bad things of the good thing. Like the scriptures say, the Lord made the same thing that was good for good people, and so those bad things were created for evil for bad people. And that's what happens when death comes into the world. You could take war and make it a good thing and a bad thing. You could take anything and make it a good thing and a bad thing. And that's what came into the world, was the idea to make shit bad, man. Even our bodies. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord has destined for us to be immortal. Okay? He's going to put the laws in our inward parts, right? Which are going to make us righteous. Righteousness is immortal. We're going to be righteous by nature, right? Our bodies are going to be righteous. It's not going to be subject or tempted to sin. Okay? So with that being said, I hope this was edifying. I want to say, call law, Yabashim Yahushai, Bahava Kakadash, Daban Sa, apostles who are elders rule well. Blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching the enduring truth and sincerity. And I also like, in post-production, I'm going to put up, the movie with the Immortals, man. You know what I'm saying? Even though they try to make it like you can chain and confine them, but that was spiritual within itself too, you know? Hey, shalom. So we're gonna go into First Corinthians chapter 15 verse 42. It says, so also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. Yeah, because it's this a different, like we shall see the Lord in his glory. We're gonna inherit that in the glorious forms also. Okay? It says, it is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. So it's just, the body that inhabits these bodies are always spirits. The Lord created the spirit to inhabit these bodies. It's just that the body that we're going to be inhabited is going to be pretty much superhuman, to the point that we're going to be gods and we're going to be able to live forever, right? It says, and so it is written that first man Adam was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not the first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earthy. The second man is the Lord from heaven. You see? So it says, as the earthy, such are they that are earthy, and as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. Because it ain't gonna be the same bodies, man. Right? And as we have borne the image of earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Was it heaven? As far as being the spirit world, is more being eternal. We're gonna have the perfect combination. All right, it's pretty much what's being said. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. So these bodies can't go into the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? These bodies aren't fit for what's destined ahead of us. So we're going to shed this like snakeskin and put on our righteous bodies, our bodies that were meant to be inherited, via through prophecy. Salakia says, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Okay? So we shall not all sleep, which means pretty much some shall be beheaded for Yahweh's sake. Some brothers that passed away before we got to the end are going to put on the same bodies that we put on, because they're just asleep right now. It says we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Okay, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the